Imagine, imagine you're a young woman and so afraid of your family that you run away in the middle of the night
Wow.
with like nothing,
Yeah.
just the clothes on your back.
No phone, no money, nothing like that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Not even a toothbrush.
Jeez.
That's what Nazarene Urson did.
Oh, wow.
And it's her story is just wild.
Yeah.
It's got murder, family secrets, like a really scary dad.
It's like a movie or something.
Yeah, totally.
Just, you can't even imagine being that afraid of your own family.
Exactly.
To have to, like, escape like that.
So today we're looking at her story.
Okay.
And all the crazy stuff that happened after she got away.
Gotcha.
We're using this true crime podcast called Motive for Murder.
Okay.
It looks into the deaths of two people close to Nazarene.
Oh, wow.
Her husband, Cody, and her best friend, Gallery.
So 2 murders.
Yeah.
That's intense.
And the podcast thinks her father, Ali Osan, might be behind it all.
That's, so does that mean he killed both of them?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, so where do we even begin with this?
Let's start with Nazarene's escape.
Okay.
Like I said, she had nothing when she ran.
Right, just the clothes.
Yeah, her friend Shirley had to buy her, like, basic stuff.
Wow.
Toothbrush, the essentials.
It's just crazy to think about.
It shows how controlling her father was.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She wasn't just, some teenager sneaking out.
Right.
She was trapped.
Yeah.
She told the police about all the strict rules he had.
Like what?
Like she couldn't wear makeup or go out with friends.
Seriously?
Yeah, he was really strict.
Wow.
There's even this story about the bus driver.
Okay.
He felt bad for her and bought her makeup,
Uh,
which she had to hide at school.
so he wouldn't find it.
Right. Wow.
That's rough.
And this wasn't just when she was a kid.
Oh.
Even in her 20s, he was still super controlling.
No kidding.
Yeah, like she couldn't date or anything.
That's insane.
So then she met Cody Beavers, who she eventually married. And that, changed everything for her.
I bet.
It showed her there was a life outside of her dad's control.
Right.
But it also made things worse with her dad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ali Ersan was furious when he found out.
Oh, yeah.
He, locked her in the house, basically.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she couldn't leave or talk to Cody.
Wow, that's kidnapping.
I know, it's crazy.
So how'd she get away?
She climbed out a bathroom window in the middle of the night.
Seriously?
Yeah, she ran to a neighbor's house for help.
That's like something out of a movie.
Totally.
So she ends up with Cody and his family in Texas, right?
Yeah, in Spring.
I've heard of that. It's north of Houston, right?
Yeah, like a suburb.
Seems like a safe place, you know?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But even there, her dad's influence followed them.
You're kidding.
And that's where the first tragedy happens.
What do you mean?
Cody's found dead in their home.
Oh, no.
Shot to death.
Wow.
And it's suspicious right away.
Why?
Because Nazarene found him. And the police found a gun in her purse.
Uh-oh.
So Nazarene finds Cody. There's a gun in her purse.
Right.
It's got to look pretty bad for her.
Yeah, I mean, in any murder, the spouse is always the first suspect.
Especially when they find the body and have a weapon.
Exactly. But when the detective, Sergeant Ducey,
Okay.
when he talked to Nazarene, he started to have doubts.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, she didn't really try to defend herself. She just kept talking about her father.
Like, about how controlling he was?
Yeah, and how angry he was at Cody. And her story matched what Cody's family and neighbors had said about Ali Ersan.
So everyone was saying the same thing.
Exactly. They all described him as obsessed with finding Nazarene,
Wow.
and they said he could be violent.
So the detective started thinking maybe Ali Ersan was more likely to have killed Cody than Nazarene.
Yeah, even though she had the gun.
But wasn't that gun registered to Cody?
It was.
So maybe she was just scared.
It makes sense. She just escaped this terrifying situation. And knowing her father, she probably didn't feel safe.
Yeah, she might have taken the gun for protection.
Especially with all the harassment they were dealing with.
Oh, yeah, the podcast mentioned that
Right.
Cody's family said they were being harassed by Ali Ersan.
Yeah, their cars were vandalized all the time.
Like, what kind of vandalism?
Their tires were slashed, like, almost every night.
What?
Yeah, they even started parking their cars in the garage.
Jeez.
Or even across the street, just to avoid it.
This scary.
It is.
So the detective's piecing things together, right?
Right.
He's thinking this guy, Ali Ersan, is
He was
dangerous.
Controlling, dangerous, and maybe he had a reason to kill Cody.
Okay, but then there's Gallery.
Right. Gallery.
Her murder just doesn't seem to fit.
It was a shock to everyone.
Yeah, she was dating Corey.
Cody's twin brother.
Right, and she didn't even know Ali Ersan.
As far as anyone knew, they had never met.
So how could he be involved?
That's the big mystery.
It seems completely random.
It does, but the podcast, it digs deeper into Ali Ersan's life, and they find out he was involved in all sorts of criminal activity.
Wait, what?
This wasn't just about a strict father controlling his family.
Oh, wow.
This was about a criminal mastermind.
Seriously? Like what kind of stuff?
We're talking insurance fraud, arson.
Wow.
Even maybe hiring someone to kill someone else.
You're kidding me?
Nope, this guy was bad news.
So while the police were focused on Nazarene, Ali Ersan was running a criminal enterprise.
Pretty much. And the podcast uses court documents, interviews, all sorts of stuff to back this up.
So it's not just speculation.
It's investigative journalism, putting all the pieces together.
It's wild.
It makes you wonder, how did he hide all of this for so long?
Right. Did no one suspect anything?
It's possible some people knew.
But they were probably too afraid to say anything.
Yeah, he was known for being intimidating and violent.
So speaking out against him
could have meant serious trouble.
makes sense.
But the big question is, how does Gallery's murder fit into all of this?
Right, that's what I keep coming back to.
Oh, the podcast has a theory.
Okay, I'm listening.
They think she might have been targeted because of her relationship with Corey.
Because Corey was trying to get justice for his brother.
Exactly.
He wouldn't let it go.
And the podcast says Ali Ersan had a pattern of getting rid of anyone he saw as a threat.
Anyone who got in his way.
Or challenged his control.
So Corey, by trying to find out what happened to Cody,
he might have become a target.
And Gallery was just an innocent bystander.
That's what the podcast is suggesting.
So she was killed just to shut Corey up.
It's a horrifying thought, but that's the scenario they're exploring.
Wow, this is really messed up.
It is, and it shows how far-reaching the impact of these crimes can be.
It's not just about the immediate victims.
It affects everyone around them.
So tragic.
It is, but the podcast backs up their theory with evidence.
Like what?
They use witness statements, police reports, even financial records.
To show what?
To show that Ali Ersan used other people to do his dirty work.
He wasn't doing it himself.
Not directly. He had people who would do what he wanted.
Maybe he was paying them.
Maybe. Or maybe they were scared of him.
Or maybe they were loyal to him for some reason.
Could be all of the above.
So the podcast is basically saying that Ali Ersan was pulling the strings.
And Gallery got caught in the crossfire.
It's chilling.
It is, and it raises a lot of questions.
Like, if this is true,
yeah,
how far does this go? How many people were involved?
It's hard to say, but it's a disturbing thought.
So, to recap, we started with Nazarene escaping her controlling father.
Right.
Then her husband is murdered.
And she becomes a suspect.
But now it looks like her father might be the real killer.
And that he might be responsible for another murder as well.
And on top of all that,
yeah,
he might be running a whole criminal operation.
Exactly. It's a lot to unpack.
It is. And it makes you wonder how much of this is going on that we don't even know about.
Scary thought, right?
Definitely.
But it's why we do this deep dive.
To expose the darkness.
And to make people aware.
So they can protect themselves.
Exactly, because you never know what might be lurking beneath the surface.
Okay, so we've got this theory that Gallery was killed to stop people from looking into Cody's death.
Right, a way to silence anyone getting too close to the truth.
And we're saying Ali Ersan was behind it all.
Yeah, the podcast makes a pretty strong case.
He was willing to do whatever it took to stay in control.
Absolutely, no matter who got hurt.
We talked about the fraud, the arson, even the possibility of him hiring hitmen.
It's a scary thought.
It is. It shows just how dangerous this guy was.
And how far his reach extended.
And poor Gallery.
Yeah, she just got caught in the middle of it all.
Wrong place, wrong time.
She was an innocent?
An innocent victim of a man's obsession with power.
Exactly. It's a reminder that these things have consequences.
Consequences that can ripple outward and affect people who had nothing to do with the original crime.
It's really sad.
The podcast really doesn't hold back. They flat out ask if Gallery was killed just to protect Ali Ersan.
They want to know if it was intentional or just a side effect of his other criminal activities.
Right, like maybe he didn't mean for her to die, but it happened anyway.
But they lean towards it being intentional.
Because of Corey.
Yeah, remember he was determined to find out what happened to Cody?
He wouldn't let it go.
Right, and that made him a threat to Ali Ersan.
So taking out Gallery was a way to shut Corey up.
It's a horrible thought, but it makes a certain kind of sense.
In a twisted way, yeah.
It highlights the dangers of getting involved in something like this.
Even if you're just trying to help.
Or find justice for someone you love.
It's like the closer Corey got to the truth, the more danger he put himself and those around him in it.
Exactly. It's a cautionary tale.
I'm really impressed with how the podcast laid everything out.
Yeah, they did a great job.
They start with Nazarene's escape and then slowly reveal more and more about Ali Ersan.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Each layer is more shocking than the last.
And they back it all up with evidence.
Witness statements, financial records, police reports, the whole 9 yards.
They don't just make claims, they show you the proof.
It's what makes this podcast so compelling.
You can't help but get drawn into the story.
And it makes you think, how much of this is going on right now that we don't know about?
How many people are getting away with stuff like this?
It's a sobering thought.
It is, but it's also why these stories are so important.
They shine a light on the darkness.
They make us aware of the dangers that are out there.
So we can be more vigilant.
And protect ourselves and our loved ones.
Well said. So where do things stand now with the investigation?
The podcast doesn't give us all the answers.
They like to keep us in suspense.
They mention that there are legal proceedings going on.
But they don't say what the outcome is.
They want us to come back for more.
I guess we'll have to wait for future episodes to get the full story.
It's a bit frustrating, I admit.
Yeah. I want to know what happens to Ali Ersan.
Does he get brought to justice? Does he get away with it all?
I guess that's the reality of these kinds of cases.
They rarely have a neat and tidy ending.
Sometimes the truth is hard to find.
And justice can be slow.
But even without all the answers, this deep dive has been eye-opening.
It shows us the dark side of human nature.
The lengths people will go to for power and control.
And the devastating impact it can have on innocent lives.
Nazarene's story is a reminder that things aren't always what they seem.
And that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places.
We need to be aware of that.
And we need to be willing to speak up when we see something wrong.
Because silence only empowers the abusers.
And allows the cycle of violence to continue.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into motive for murder.
It's been a wild ride.
We'll be back soon with more stories that will shock, intrigue, and hopefully make you think.
Until then, stay safe out there.
And remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.